My name is Adriana Trujillo Villa. I am the Assistant Project Manager for the DRC office with Orange County Planning Division. And before we begin with our meeting, I just want to remind everyone that this meeting is for 1 hour. So it's from 6 to 7. We have made, we reserved this facility for 1 hour. And the objective of this meeting is to provide information pertaining to the project, the CDR 22-11-355 Waterleigh PD. So for people who are joining us and haven't signed in yet, please feel free to come to the front side and sign in. And it's just to keep track of who attended here. And if you have additional questions, you can reach out to us. If you receive a community meeting notice, my information is here. If you haven't received one of those, you are welcome to stop by later at the end of the meeting. I will be happy to provide you with a business card if you need to get in contact with me. So as I mentioned before, we are going to initiate the meeting. We have Doug McDowell. He's going to be also assisting in the facilitation of the meeting. And before I begin the presentation of the project, I'm going to introduce Commissioner Wilson, and she's going to give opening remarks.
Thank you, I really appreciate it. I just look out at this group of people and it makes me so grateful to be your representative because you care. My worst fear is calling on one of these, and as you may know, this actually came before the board and I asked for a continuance and I said I think we need to do a community meeting. And you can imagine how embarrassed I would have been after demanding that if I'd gotten out here and you hadn't come. So thank you for being here, thank you for caring. I really believe the way we make the best possible community, especially in this time of rapid growth, is by having public input and making sure that the landowner hears us, the developer hears us, the planning staff hears us, administration hears us, and then ultimately the entire Board of County Commissioners hears us. So I want to make sure if you haven't signed in, you do that at some point this evening. And also, if you have not subscribed to my newsletter, please do that, NicoleWilson.org, or email us at district1@ocfl.net. We really try hard to make sure that every single plan that comes through, that we send out the information. Sometimes it's an inundating amount of information. But I want to make sure that I'm putting it in front of you. If you have questions about it, reach out to us. I don't have all the answers. I'm not a planner, I'm not a developer. But I know how to find them, and I will try to make sure I'm accessing the right people and getting the answers to you. So thank you again for being here, and hopefully we will be able to get you some information.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. So as Commissioner Wilson mentioned, this item was presented to the Board of County Commissioners on May 2nd, and at the request of the board, this item was continued to hold a community meeting, and the community meeting, of course, is taking place today. And after this item is going back to the Board of County Commissioners. The public hearing is scheduled for June 20th. So if you still want to provide additional comments, please feel free to attend this community public hearing. It's not a community meeting. June 20th, and you will be receiving a notice, or you will be getting additional information through social media, of course. So as you know, this project is the CDR 22-11-355 Waterleigh PD. The request is to update the conceptual village center layout and to add 2 new permitted uses to the village center district, parcel 13, including a self-storage facility, and to allow the Publix to have a liquor store component. And you are familiar with the location? It's west of Avalon Road, and then north of Water Springs?
Waterleigh.
Yes. I'm not too familiar with this area, but thank you for helping. So yes, you are familiar, so this is the location. And as I mentioned before, this is the request, the proposed request, to update the village center layout. The future land use designation is village center, as you can see here, and this is within the Horizon West area. And this time I'm going to introduce the applicant to provide additional information pertaining to the project And after the applicant provides a presentation, we will be holding time for questions and answers, so Q&A. So if you have questions, I'm going to request to wait until the presentation is made, and please come to the center, and we will be answering your questions. So we will have the microphone ready, and feel free to ask any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. Oh, it's not going to work. We might have to play this by ear. No, the computer's in the back. Thank you. So thank you, everyone, for coming out. I know summer days are very precious, and just coming out here and spending your time with us for an hour to get to know what we're doing for the project and in your community. Kind of generally, we're going to give a development update of what's happening in the Village Center, and then discuss some specifics about the PD amendment itself.
Which one do I push here?
All right, so first off, thank you, Commissioner, for having us out tonight. I love the attendance of everyone. I'm Keith Trace. I'm the project manager for the Village Center development. Tonight we'll have Randy Holohan with, he's developing the Publix. He'll give a few words. Then we have a couple of folks on the storage side. Tonight, Mr. Todd Lucas will be giving a little update on the storage as well. And then you might hear from our planner, Erica Hughes, if you have some planning specific questions, and then also Julie James, our attorney. All right, so this is a very beautiful aerial about 3 weeks old of the overall Village Center. D.R. Horton is developing the apartments now. I think you see the staircase towers going up. So that is about 280 apartments. I imagine that'll take them about 2 years to complete. The Village Center commercial is the portion we're discussing tonight in blue. And then the Publix, as you guys all very well know, is under construction. And this is about 2 weeks ago, right before the sign went up, of the Publix and the beautiful fountain, and then the mini strip center that's going up as well. And then we will have, sorry, technical difficulty. There we go. Why are we here? And I think staff did mention this. The developer is seeking approval to add 2 new permitted uses to the Village Center District, PD Parcel 13, which are a liquor store and a self-storage facility. All right, here's a little bit about the liquor store.
Yes, that's me.
That's you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Randy Holohan. My company is Pasadena Capital.
Hey, you know what, if you could start in front, because we're recording this for people that aren't here.
Oh, okay. Good evening. My name is Randy Holohan. My company is Pasadena Capital. We are the developers for the Publix property. We are seeking to put in what you all normally see at most Publixes, what we call the blister on the side that is a liquor store. They're anywhere from 1,400 to 2,100 square feet. It's the conventional liquor store that is alongside 343, I think it is, Publixes in the state. Nothing out of the ordinary. Sorry, there's no free samples tonight. They won't let us do that. Publix started on the liquor stores years ago. There's 21 here in Orange County. They'll be opening their first one outside of the state in Kentucky at the end of 23, first of 24. And there's really not a whole lot to say about it. It's a liquor store. It's as simple as that. It's the same thing Publix has had all the way through. It's an allowed use according to the code. It just requires Board of County Commission approval. And we meet, if you'll go to the next slide, there's certain requirements we have to meet.
There we go.
And they have to be a certain distance from the nearest school. We have to be the certain distance from the nearest daycare. We have to be a certain distance from the next closest liquor store. And this is a survey that we have to have done and certified to present to the Board of County Commissioners that show we meet all those requirements. From our standpoint, the next closest Publix liquor store is, I think, 3.5 miles towards Claremont and 4-something miles to the northwest. So this is really a convenience for all you all if you drink. They also carry Cokes too, you know.
And limes. If you
And limes, yeah. But that's pretty much as simple as we are in what we're trying to do.
Perfect. All right, thank you very much. Next slide. And then I would like to introduce Todd. Todd, he will give a little update on why storage in this area.
All right, thank you. We'll see if I can get my slides to work here. We've got somebody better than me working on this. So, Commissioner, thank you for being here tonight, and everybody, thank you for joining us. As was mentioned, my name is Todd Lucas. I'm working with the developer on the self-storage portion. Just a little background. Between one of the developers and myself, I've done over 175 self-storage facilities in the United States, and 35 of them in Florida, owned and operated. So we have quite a bit of experience in the industry. And I think the first question is why is storage needed in general or in this particular location? And one of the big things that we're always looking at is that home designs are changing. We're all well aware of the increase in costs and construction, the property costs going up. So homes are becoming a little smaller, more efficient, and they're starting to reduce the amount of storage space for personal items in them. Another thing that I feel personally, because I now work from home, is pandemic-driven work from home. There's a number of individuals who started working from home and have stayed working from home and use their home, a portion of their home for an office, and that takes additional space. Neighborhood HOA restrictions. Well, I guess I shouldn't pay so much. I'm great.
The Publix liquor store.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Sorry, I was at the Publix liquor store earlier, so. All right, I'm not going to pace as much. I usually walk around when I talk. So. Anyway, neighbor HOA restrictions. A lot of them, no sheds allowed, limited garage space, no side storage space. A lot of times, a lot of them, you can't even park in the front of the house. You have to be in the driveway of the garage. An interesting fact is that Florida is the largest state, the state with the most amount of HOAs by almost 25,000 over Texas, and I think 10,000 over California. So it's a lot of impact in the state. And then you get to apartment living in this area. Garage space is extremely limited for apartment renters. I think you've all seen the apartments in the area. And there's little to no on-site storage for apartment renters. So they have a lot of difficulty with their excess personal items as well. Population growth is outpacing new development. If you look at the statistics, and these are all statistics from a national company, Florida has 6 cities that rank in the top 10 growth cities in the United States. It's pretty amazing. Number 1 on that list is the Orlando-Kissimmee metro area. So I think you've all experienced that explosion of growth. Regression analysis, which is a formula that's done by people that are a lot smarter than me, out of the U.S. Library of Congress, does an analysis, and as part of that analysis, they look at each individual market based on supply and demand. And for the market, the overall Orlando-Kissimmee market, it's undersupplied in self-storage units by 2.3 million square feet. So this is really an underserved market, and I think you're probably all aware of that because of the explosive growth that we've had. It's hard to keep up with any kind of development. Self-storage, where is it needed? Gone are the days of the small buildings and the chain link fences way out in the edge of town. Self-storage has become a local service amenity for residential users. 67.2% of customers live within 2 miles of the facility. 63.2% of customers chose that facility based on the location and convenience. So those are very important things that we look at. Another thing that really drives it is high occupancy in the area. Orlando-Kissimmee has the highest occupancy rates that it's seen in the last 20 years. And over the last 5 years, it's grown by 1% to 1.5% year over year. Low unit turnover, self-storage, and in particular in the South. I guess in the South, we understand storage and use it a little bit differently than those in the Northeast because they're a lot higher than this. But in the South, over 50% of our customers stay for 1 to 3 years. So That's a benefit to traffic, a lot less traffic because you have customers that are staying so long. And approximately 20% of customers stay between 7 and 12 months. So you've got a substantial amount of the customer base that are staying. Now, our market area is a 3-mile demographic market. If it was more rural, we would expand it. If it was more urban, we would shrink it. But it's a 3-mile market, and this is an ideal 3-mile market. And within that market, there are no facilities. The closest existing facility is 5 miles away, and the closest proposed facility, and now it's approved, is 4 miles away. So we don't see those as being directly in our market. Okay, well, I'll look up that statistic. I did it on Google Traffic, so I'll take a look at that. But still 3.2 miles. We're looking at a definitive 3-mile market. High demand from residents in the area with fast sales lease-up. That's a driving factor of some of these facilities. Within a half a mile of the property, there are 1,285 apartments built or under construction. Now, I do have to qualify one thing. We didn't include the apartments that are in this community being developed or this. This is just in the immediate vicinity of this location. Occupancies of the completed apartment communities are above 96%. I went and talked with 3 of the different managers, and 2 of them are at 99%, one's at 96%. All of them are out of garage storage space and have long waiting lists, and all of them are out of storage space. The one directly across the street from where this facility is located actually has a problem with people who live there renting enclosed trailers and storing their personal items in them and parking in the back.
I'm sorry, where was this again? Where was this that you're talking about?
These apartment complexes that are...
No, the storage units that are filled up, you were saying.
No, I'm talking about apartments now.
Okay.
Yeah. So, they're renting trailers and loading the trailers and parking them in the back of the parking lot, so now they're having a problem with parking space because those trailers are taking them up. Of the renters surveyed, 40% of them have indicated they utilize self-storage due to insufficient space at home. So if you want to go to the next one. So the facility that we're proposing here, exterior features. It has an architecture that blends in very well with the surrounding development and the center itself. We have high-quality construction materials and finishes matching what you see in the center. It includes 2 retail units at street level that are approximately 2,700 square feet total space. And all loading and unloading activities are interior to the building. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. On the interior features, it's bright, well-lit, multiple unit sizes and options. It's 100% climate controlled. All loading and unloading activities are interior and protected from the elements. The way this facility is designed, that any traffic coming there goes into the interior of the building. There's a loading area, there's elevators, and there's drive-up unloading there. So everything is inside the building so that the community doesn't see the activity, the businesses don't see the activity, and the neighbors don't see the activity. The operations and management of the facilities. It's professionally made and operated. It's got real-time camera monitoring inside and outside of the building. It has a state-of-the-art security system with controlled access to all parts of the buildings. And it has access control that only allows customers to go to the floor with their unit. If you have a 3rd floor unit and you drive in and you want to go to the 2nd floor, you can. You punch in your code and you go to the 3rd floor. Additionally, there's ID logging for each entrance and exit. So anybody who comes in has to punch in their code. That's logged to their ID with their rental. As they leave, it's logged that they're exiting. This is just sort of a quick shot of the Horizons West storage facilities that we consider a competition area because we are a Horizons West service, and that is the newly approved one here. This is a 3-mile ring right here, based on Esri, which is demographic software. So this is the approved facility. This is one that's already constructed up in the town center, and then you have two of them over in Lakeside Village. And then on the bottom right corner, this is just some information showing that within the city of within the entire area of Horizons West, there's 40,282 approved residential units. The next one. Okay, this is touching base a little bit on what I already discussed, and that is within the immediate vicinity of the site. This is where the Publix is and the self-storage is. Okay, within the immediate vicinity, you have 1,285 multifamily units within half a mile. You have the Waterleigh Apartments, 280 units under construction. You have 301 apartments, Ascend Waterleigh, under construction slated for an October opening. You have the Braxton Waterleigh Apartments that are already open, 364 apartments that are leased up, 48 garages fully leased and no outside storage. You have the Vintage Hills Apartments, there are 340 of them, 99% leased, 64 garages fully leased, and 54 storage closets fully leased with, as they said, not me, a long waiting list. And then you have the Disney Housing coming with 1,400 more apartments down in this area.
That is a little presumptuous for, like, I mean, it hasn't even come, that hasn't even been to my desk yet as far as something that you, if you're.
The Disney thing?
Yeah.
That's why we didn't count it in the number.
But
That's not-
But he's made it sound like a very factual statement. I'd be really careful though about.
Okay, well, I'm reading
We'll take it
this,
out.
so
Yeah,
we'll
it's just
take it
not
off.
really a fair conviction at the current.
Yeah, well, removing that, there's just a substantial amount of new and existing apartments directly around the city.
Oh, they know.
Yeah.
They know that.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'm sure, yeah, they do that. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Keith to talk a little bit about the visuals and location.
Thank you. So we did some 3D rendering. During the public hearing earlier, there was
Explain to them what's in the surrounding why you're choosing this.
during the public hearing, there was some discussion about view sheds and then a storage facility kind of blocking the view or being in a place that wouldn't have good view shed across the commercial area. So this is the overall village center. The 280 multifamily units that are under construction now by D.R. Horton. The Publix property that I believe is opening in the next couple of months. This is what we're discussing, the storage center itself. On the remainder of that parcel, there are 2 retail buildings, about 5,000 square feet each. On this parcel, there are 3 buildings totaling about 20,000 square feet. And then there are 2 commercial pads out front. Okay. So the first view, because there was a discussion of the views, this is leaving the community. Right here you'll see the Publix, the multifamily to the right, and then this was the worst possible view I could find leaving the community to be able to see the storage building itself. Next. The next image is coming in off Avalon. This is the entry road coming into the community. I believe it was already announced on some of the websites that there is a bank coming that is to the right. Here is the storage building as well. And then these are the retail buildings that are on parcel 2B. Just for the scale of the buildings in the view. This is looking from the south north across the commercial parcels. This is the multifamily in the back. These are the 3 retail buildings, and then the storage building, and then the Publix. These are elevations. Oh. A little too quick. All right, here's elevations from a previous project that is in keeping with the same visual theme as this proposal. The one small change is there will be retail in front of the front corner there. So this is the road that leads between the commercial node and the Publix facility. And this is the 4-sided architecture of that building as well. Code has specific requirements about the number of windows and openings on certain floors and the amount of articulation of the building, maximum width, maximum height. This is in keeping with all of the requirements of code. And here are that 2,700 square feet of retail that's on the first floor, and then the internal tunnel where all loading and unloading will happen within the building. This is just a selection of the color palette. Agreeable gray is like the number 1 color of like 2020. So that's one of the main colors of the building. All right, so these are the specific code provisions that pertain to the application itself. Pursuant to the comp plan and code, the village center commercial developments shall be generally located in the center of the village and primarily oriented to serve the residents in the immediate neighborhood and village. Code provides that liquor stores and self-storage uses are approved non-residential uses, but subject to BOCC approval. Code establishes design standards for self-storage facilities to promote architectural compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood. Code establishes separation requirements between liquor stores and schools. And like similar uses within Horizon West, the proposed liquor store and self-storage facility are being built to serve the needs of the immediate neighborhood. Staff found the application in compliance with the comp plan and code and recommended approval of the request. And then now questions.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes?
Because I had some. Thank you. First of all, I really want to thank you all for being here, for presenting this, for giving us the information. And I just want to make sure, because I had a lot of communication with some residents that came when we did the continuation. And so I sort of want to start out by saying I appreciate all the information, but the residents here do know what's coming and going as far as the development pattern. And so the concept that was really part of the vision of Horizon West, not Horizons West, Horizon West is this village center where people could walk and bike to go to things, services, retail, restaurants, schools, playgrounds. And so the county, of course, has been really deliberate about putting in the parks in those areas, and the schools are located within walking distance. There is, even in the original conceptual design of these parcels, pedestrian entries. And I love a visual depiction, and those were lovely, but they showed small cars and people walking and biking, but nobody bikes their stuff over to a storage facility. That's trucks. So I think that I'm expressing what I heard at the BCC and again by email and phone call, and what I think I just heard a second ago, and wondering if, that depiction, if it's sincere, right? Because the reality is you don't bring your storage in a little, basket on your bike. But what they wanted to see were things that they could go get, maybe a croissant, maybe go to a spin class. And that's what they wanted for this area. So, and I hope that I asked that question the right way, and if not, we will definitely pass the mic around.
I have a question for the commissioner. Why do these two projects have to be bundled together? If there's no problem
They
with
don't.
the liquor store.
They don't, and I would be glad to ask the applicant if they want to bifurcate these cases.
It just doesn't, I'm sure there's.
They don't. They're both uses that need this kind of special permission in order to get to the BCC. So there's no reason why we couldn't bifurcate these, right?
This request is to update the village center with the two uses, the liquor store and the storage.
But we could separate those as applications.
If that is the recommendation from the board, and if the applicant agrees.
And if the
I mean, it's not up to staff, of course. If you have any questions, please, we have a
We got a second
microphone.
microphone here. The kids got a hold of it, so it looks a little bit like Charlie Brown's Christmas tree, but it does work.
So if you can stand here, please,
Yeah.
and we will go one by one so that everybody can hear.
Yeah, so just for clarity, we technically could separate the Publix use from the self-storage use. We have two applications because we're also dealing with signage right now as well.
And I asked John about that too.
So I think there is a way for us to be able to separate the self-storage and the signage into one CDR and keep Publix moving and under another one if that's easiest.
Thank you. The next person, we already have here.
Hi, good evening. My name is Dick Puig. I live in Phase 3 over in Waterleigh. Two questions for you quickly. Have you measured, for the liquor store, have you measured the distance from the proposed liquor store to the new Kitty Academy facility that's being built? A lot closer than Water Spring Elementary.
Yeah, it's like 3 streets over. Yes. Technically, no, we haven't, but it's within the distance that we're allowed.
Okay. I mean, I'm a proponent. I just want to make sure that that facility didn't get left out because it's not open yet. Yeah, it is very close. So I would ask that you measure that out.
Okay.
Find out what's going on there. Commissioner, thank you for bringing up the issue with the pictures. Anybody here that's ever rented a U-Haul truck? They had no clue how to drive it? You're going to have 280 units right next to this storage facility. By Orange County demographics, 49% of those are going to have kids in them. These kids are going to ride and play in that area. So my question is how are we going to protect the children right in that vicinity from people that really shouldn't be driving a 20-plus foot truck through their neighborhood? Thank you.
Thank you. The design of the village center has short block lengths with stop signs that would stop the vehicle. And then turning radius is all taken into account, and then the internal tunnel has a 16-foot clearance to fit the van,
What
the U-Haul
about the
van.
accident that just happened within the past week, which was a terrible accident? Right, Dan?
Yes.
So Commissioners asked me to address a little bit about the traffic and what you saw in your pictures there. And just so everybody is clear, this information is directly from ITE, which is the Institute of Traffic Engineering, and it's what's used nationwide at Winter Garden and all other cities and by their city traffic departments. So based on the facility size, for trucks that are 10 to 20 feet long, you're looking at 1 entry and 1 exit per day. That's based on the size of the facility. Now, obviously in the first month, if there's a lot of lease up, you might see a couple more, but the average is 1 per day. So it's a very low number. The other thing I want to point out, I do, and my pickup's 22 feet long, but that's a normal car driving on the road. This is a box truck we're talking about. The other thing I want to point out, though, is we're talking about those trucks in and out all day long. That I've stored it a number of places. I'm sure some of you have. You don't go every day and look at your stuff.
Exactly, that's why we don't need it here.
But you do need a storage place. So from a traffic standpoint, one box truck, U-Haul large Ryder type truck per day. The remainder of the traffic for the facility, and this is again per the ITA standards manual, you're talking 48 trips out and 48 trips in and 49 out of cars and passenger trucks or SUV vehicles, the typical ones we all have in our driveways, and that's across 8 hours. So the facility itself, the tunnel of the facility is, I don't know the exact dimensions, but it's 280 feet long. I believe the lane where they park.
Yay or nay, get it over with?
If you like, I can't do anything like that. So anyway, so just to clarify that the pictures that you saw are representative of what is actually there.
I was actually one of the residents that was at the meeting last month. And back then I wasn't quite ready for the meeting. So I was actually able to find the regulation, that it does require approval. And two of the points that, you guys covered in terms of how it looks and everything. But I think what is it, number 3, the change shall not act as a detrimental intrusion into the surrounding area. Based on what we bought into when we moved to the neighborhood of having the walking villages, of having the shops, of having, doctor's offices, and, that's a detrimental to the community. All this space going to storage that's not going to the community. It's going maybe to people in apartments, people who are willing to drive the trucks from wherever to bring the, there are things to the storage place. And then number 4, the use shall be similar in noise, vibration, dust, odor, glare, heat production, and other characteristics that are associated with the majority of uses currently permitted. I think you can agree that in the village center that's made for people who are walking and biking, trucks and U-Hauls are not part of that. That goes against the regulations for the community, set by the county. Maybe that's not something that you can call statistics all you want, but the kids are going to be playing, and the people who are driving they're not ready. That's too much to be in the village center. opportunity for you guys to partner with the apartments, to put those apartment units, that they need, put it in the apartment units, reserve an area, rent to the people who need it in the apartment units, not in the village center.
Excuse me, before we proceed with the question and answer section, I just want to remind everyone that this meeting is being recorded, and if you have any questions or if you have comments, please line up here so that your questions are heard and of course recorded as well. And we allow time as well for the applicant to answer the questions. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sarah Hibbs. I live over in Waterleigh. So my questions are, how with all of the zoning and permit requirements did Publix build their entire building and within weeks of opening and not have approval and appropriate zoning to open? How does that even happen? So what assurances do we have going forward that next time this can't happen, that someone can't develop something undesirable and then request a variance or amendment to the PD? And then additionally, Orange County Planning, shame on you guys. You have totally sold us out, our neighborhood, our homes, to the apartment developers. This is just one our investment. This is our home. The number of apartments you guys have given variances to is appalling. They're up on the street corners. They're ridiculous. Quit selling us out, please. And then lastly, please take the self-storage units to Highway 192 or 50 where they belong.
I just want to remind everyone the Waterleigh PD has about 1,500 gross acres that were approved in 2013. So I understand the concern of new owners in this area, and they have received approvals for 3,600 residential dwelling units in the Waterleigh district, and also over 200,000 square feet of non-residential uses. Non-residential uses means commercial. And also, they also have elementary and middle school uses. So I understand the frustration. However, there have been previous approvals, so it's not like this happened overnight. And I understand it's not the planning office doing, but I do understand the concern. We don't make the approvals, or we don't do approvals.
So I want to say that I think the important part about tonight, the part that I want to make sure that we're being super clear about, is that as a matter of property rights, anybody has the right to come forward with a potential plan. Now, what we do as a government and as a people is to try to make sure that we're making sense in our community with governing documents, which we have as a comprehensive plan, as Orange Code. And I think what we're hearing is the frustration that this is coming in as a special exception and that things come in asking for special treatment. And all they're saying is, why don't they actually follow the rules that were laid out as what are supposed to be within that village plan? So there has to be a process in place where people can challenge that, because due process is also part of property rights. But I want to make sure we're being respectful of staff. Everyone has had a job in their lives that was difficult to do, that they faced adversity. We can continue to dialogue about how we process these applications. And I hear you, you all know that I make sure we get out here for everything we can. And I try to make sure that the promises that were made on the quality of life for Horizon West are kept. But it takes having conversations with landowners, with our business people, with our planning staff, and we have to do that in a civil way in order to be able to really be successful. So I appreciate you all, but let's make sure we can get through this and before they kick us out of the school.
I would like to know exactly what kind of road survey was done on Avalon, because you're literally going to have apartment complexes almost on every single corner. Then you're going to add trucks. Now, I have a comment. This was done in my hometown of New York. I had the same spiel from a storage facility, and on average, without exaggeration, there was a car accident like about every 8 weeks with a truck, because people renting trucks and don't know how to drive them. And I'm not talking about minor car accidents, I'm talking about major car accidents. And in New York, there were not kids on bikes like in our communities. And that's something I think that they need to take into account.
My name is Marcelo. I live very close in Bostwick. My question is, given the satellite view that you showed us, where you see that the storage unit space is almost as big as Publix, how many small-owned community business that could add way more value to our community could be built on that exact same space?
To partially answer your question, so a storage unit, the industry that I know of, brings in $39.5 billion a year. So let's say we replace that. A Chinese restaurant is $21 billion. Hair and nail salon, $68.5. Dry cleaner, $7.6 billion. Gym, $33.25 billion. Chipotle, $86 billion a year. That's over $138 billion that it would bring in compared to a storage unit. That would also mean not only would those businesses bring in more money, that'd be more money generated for taxes to the state and county and create more jobs. I'd also like to say that according to Neighbor Blog, only 10% of households rent a storage unit. So that's 90% of our neighborhood that will not use something. This was meant to be something, again, I think we've said, for a village center to walk to, bike to with our kids. There are 3 schools right now, roughly within 2 miles of the village center, with the 4th one going up. Again, back to the concern for the students. Also, if you're green conscious, there are a lot of things to consider. It puts a needless and wasteful burden on our resources, especially when you consider so much of the contents of the self-storage units are stuff you don't access every day, as you said. That again feeds into our community that we are breathing and exposed to every day. Within a 10-mile radius, there are over 13 storage facilities. A good portion of these are reporting lower than 70% occupancy based on their financial statements. So any comments you have about those, I'd love to hear.
So regarding the occupancies, I can't give you exact numbers, but we did speak with each one of the facilities, and the lowest facility was at 80%. So I'm not sure what those financials are, you're reading their reporting, but we did speak to each one individually. The majority of them were in the 86 to 92 percentile.
And some of the lower occupancy are probably non-conditioned.
Yes, and some of the lower occupancy were non-conditioned, and some of them are down on 192, which is not a market that people want to drive to take their stuff to. It's very busy, it's very touristy, and it's very difficult.
Just made a point.
No, the point is exactly what I showed in the preview, is that it's about neighborhood convenience and service.
The neighborhood doesn't want it.
It's
not about a need for the community because the community doesn't want it.
Okay, well, the other thing I would mention too is that I think that there's another large part of the community around here that is also the apartment dwellers. And I know that, I understand, but I have to consider them as well. So I'm just saying there's a large community within this vicinity.
Partner with the apartments,
Hey, good afternoon. Good evening, everybody. My name is Gonzalo. I live in Phase 2, and I happen to be a project manager for Osceola County. And I believe, Keith, you come from Osceola County as well.
Yes, sir.
In every single community meeting that we have with county commissioners and county managers, there's always, when we develop land, the problem with the risk and the traffic factor. I think everybody has voiced out here how that becomes a problem for Waterleigh. Waterleigh also happens to be one of the largest, if not the largest, community within Horizon West. It's over 1,400 acres, and we're annexed to Story Grove. So every square foot that we put in that village center is precious. So the problem is not the look, it's how pretty it looks. If it's, you know, the gray, the color of the year, nobody cares about that. Everybody cares about the use of space. If based on your rough scale, I think that facility is going to be 40,000 square feet. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's a lot of things that can happen in that square footage there. As everybody mentioned, you know, there was an accident recently with a box truck. I bike there every single night after work. It could have been me, it could have been my daughter on a little trailer on a bike. So there are more than enough reasons. It's not against your business, right? And I understand your proposal, and it's a commercial entity, and you know, you're in here just to make money, right? We're not here to make charity or anything like that. But we live here, so this is our community. Like everybody said, we choose to live here, not in Davenport, not in the 27, nothing against those areas, but we pay top dollar to be in a community, to live, work, and play, right? We have many examples around. We have Celebration, we have Baldwin Park, we have Avalon Park, we have Harmony. We have so many places that practice the new urbanism. So I think that's the goal, right? As developers, I think that's the goal for my county commissioners, and I believe that's the goal, if you allow it. All right, thank you very much.
This facility is a urban style facility. It's multi-story, as you saw, there's 3 stories. But it's different than a rural style. So
Separate.
the property that the building and buffers take up is about 1 acre. Based on general commercial practices, that's about a 10,000 square foot building, and parking fits on that land area of 1 acre, based on the FAR. And we are providing 2,700 square feet of retail within the building. So there is some retail being put in there. It's not as much as what the 1 acre would take up, but it is still providing that benefit to the community for that 1 acre.
Hi, my name is Sandy. I also live in Phase 3, Waterleigh. And I also live in Phase 3, Waterleigh. My family bought into the walkable neighborhood, grocery store, restaurants, etc. We did not buy into Ascend. We did not buy into Braxton. They made their problem our problem. There is no reason why, aside from money, because I imagine apartment storage brings a lot more per month than storage that they rent within their own facility. But they could have provided enough storage for their tenants in their particular units, Ascend, Braxton, even D.R. Horton, for his people. There is no, now they don't have enough storage because they needed, like, well, we could have 4 more apartments instead of bringing in $2,500 a month for each of those apartments versus $60 or $100 a month per storage space. So they made their problem our problem. And I am in agreement with everything else. I mean, we all have to look at, we all bought in, everybody, whenever they purchase a home, always wants to make a good investment. Whether it's now or 5 years from now, someday we are going to sell. And some of the homes in Waterleigh now are getting more than $1 million. And people want to be able to leave at night and walk over to maybe Publix, walk over to a restaurant. But there is nothing there aside from a storage facility. There is plenty of vacant land around this area, and create your own commercial site, but don't make it in the middle of a subdivision.
Hello, my name is Nick Albertson. I live right on the traffic circle, right at the entrance of the neighborhood. So we are very excited about the opportunity for new commercial businesses being actually within walking distance of my house. And we're not in the back of the neighborhood. We are going to be walking to Publix. We're going to be walking to the other businesses there. No one walks to a self-storage unit. I just want to say that. The village center is supposed to be walkable. That's the point. It's the village center. You don't put self-storage in the village center. But anyway, enough people have talked about that. I wanted to reiterate a request to please separate the 2 applications, because I know Publix already built their facility, which is questionable based on zoning and everything, but I don't want to go up against Publix's lawyers on this. I know that they have a whole legal provision and everything. The self-storage and the liquor store are not the same application. They should not be treated the same. I don't want anyone pushing the liquor store to push through the self-storage unit. And in terms of other self-storage units nearby, I don't buy that it has to be within 10 feet of your house because you're driving there. It could be up on Avalon across from the golf course where they're putting in a car wash and things where the commercial light industrial area is where this needs to be. We need a gym. There's not a gym within 15 minutes of here. We need a Chinese restaurant. So we want 10, I would rather have 10 businesses take up that space than 2 small businesses that, you know, might be like a T-Mobile or something. That's not what we need there. So, thank you.
Hey, good evening. My name is Matt Wieringa. I'm an owner-resident over on Atwater Bay. Now, we know why you guys are here, because self-storage is currently one of the most profitable things you can currently do with a vacant piece of land. However, I can guarantee you that all the people here do not care how much profit you're going to make off of this piece. So with that then, we don't necessarily even need to consider if we can. We know that we can. But I guess my question to the planning division is, do you guys consider, when you recommended for approval, whether we should? So it is an allowable use within the, the Horizon West governing documents for that. When you guys recommended for approval, do you guys consider whether this is that we should do this as part of your approval process?
I just want to make sure that is understood. We present the findings of a proposal, of a project. So we give the facts, we put it in a report, and that goes before the DRC. The DRC is the Development Review Committee, and that is, hold on, I just forgot that word, recommending body. So they provide, the Development Review Committee provides the recommendations to the board. So staff does not provide recommendations, staff provides findings pertaining to this project, or a project. Pertaining to a project. So pretty much we make sure that they comply with all the requirements, and as part of one of the requirements is design standards. So the applicant has had multiple meetings with staff, with the different departments. It is transportation planning, traffic engineering, utilities, planning, zoning, to make sure that they comply with all the requirements. Based on that, we provide the findings of fact, in a report, and the Development Review Committee provides the recommendation. It's a recommending body to the board, and the board ultimately makes a decision whether or not to approve or not a project.
Okay. Well, the rest of us are here to be able to tell you what we think if we should do this or not. So if you can go back to the slides. Can we go back like 3 or 4 slides where it had the picture of where the self-storage facility is? Yeah. So the thing about this is we've got this community center here that we're going to be looking at here, and that right there. So this community center, we're talking about having a walkable area where we can meet, work, gather, and enjoy ourselves. And you're putting a big no-go center of self-storage, which is a confined facility, which you talked about as being very secure, having no access on it, right there in the middle of our planned village center. Doesn't seem like that really complies with kind of the intent of a village center application.
You got to walk around that building to get where
you are. Exactly.
Publix or the storage.
And so if you think about that as, okay, whether we should do that, that doesn't seem right. And, we talk about how secure this facility should be on in there. But if you talk about some of the crime statistics of what's happened in other self-storage facilities across the nation, whether you want to bring on up, okay, fires due to a meth lab or people living there who shouldn't be, yes, I can guarantee you that every single one of those developers came and said, you know what? That shouldn't happen here. We've got a very secure facility. But it does. Just like these accidents happen that aren't out here. We can say, oh, no, this shouldn't happen. But it can, and that's why we don't want it here.
Hello, my name is Fred Irvin. I live in Waterleigh, Phase 2. According to the Orange County Code, Section 38-1389, you guys are familiar with, it's the Village Center District is intended to provide for mixed-use developments that primarily consist of pedestrian-oriented retail, office, and residential uses. The code outlines specific criteria for conditional use permits, including compatibility with the district's character, pedestrian-friendly design, and enhancing the overall vitality and attractiveness of the area. The proposed facility is incompatible with the Village Center District's character. Its towering height of approximately 46 feet would overshadow the adjacent Publix supermarket, which is only 32 feet tall. The height difference threatens the aesthetic harmony and character of the neighborhood. Additionally, the storage facility's large-scale footprint, as you see there, which is nearly identical as the Publix, it kind of confuses which is the anchor tenant. Is it storage or is it Publix? Furthermore, a storage facility by its nature does not promote a pedestrian-friendly design. Storage facilities typically involve large buildings with limited windows, minimal foot traffic, and a focus on vehicle access for loading and unloading. This contradicts the aim of the Village District Center, which emphasizes walkability and creating an environment that encourages people to spend time in the area. The storage facility would not contribute to the pedestrian-friendly outlined in the code. Considering the storage facility's towering height, large-scale footprint, and lack of compatibility with the district's center character, it is evident that the applicant fails to meet the code requirements, and thus the conditional use request should be denied by the Board of County Commissioners. Thank you.
Good afternoon, guys. Oscar Satter, Phase 3, Waterleigh. I think just to reiterate some of the stuff that's been said today, it's meant to service mostly the apartment people. We don't really have that many apartments in Waterleigh. Like, most of us are homeowners, like single family or townhome owners. I don't know anybody. I mean, I lived in rental property because I've traveled a lot over the last 9 years. Moved every year for 9 years, used storage facilities. I'm one of those that's been in a storage facility for 4 years. I don't want to live near one. I don't. They generate dark spaces. I don't want my kid walking around there at 6:30 p.m. in the winter or 8:30 p.m. in the summer because it just generates dark spots. If that facility is meant to serve the people in the apartments across Avalon, then it should be built across Avalon. The last thought that I have is that, look, we as a community are dealing with a lot of things. One of them is we have an issue with traffic already without the facility, without Publix, right? Without the commercial space. We already have issues with people driving 25, 35, 45 miles an hour within our neighborhood. One. Two, we have issues with the upcoming affordable housing that they want to put in half a mile away from our house. And now they're going to put in the storage that everybody is going to use inside of our neighborhood. I support the business. I'm a client for years. I just don't want to live near it. You know, I want it to be 3 miles away from my house, not walking distance from the house. And if I needed storage space, I wouldn't have bought my house. I would have bought something else. So.
Just to remind everyone before, we have time for one more person. And thank you everyone for the people who have already provided the comments. And the applicant is going to have a few comments.
Yeah, no, if I could just address one thing. I don't want anybody to think that we're not here for you as well. I understand that you may not want it, but we are here for the residential uses. So I didn't want anybody to have the belief that we're only focused on the apartments. Because when you said that, I just want you to know that and that's why I'm here listening to you all. So I just want to make sure you understood that. Yeah.
Homeowners, right, when we buy a house, we calculate the storage space that we need with the house. And we bought knowing that we did not have sheds. We knew that, and I'm not renting. So if I was a renter, I need to look for a storage facility nearby because I know I'm a renter and I can't That's not
Right.
on rental. I walk, right? And we spend, what we wanted to spend buying, calculating that there isn't a storage facility within walking distance. And so we need to have a space to store in our house. And that's a scary thought for me.
Yeah, and since the county sold us out and putting up all these apartments, and since most of these apartments are not built yet, let them take like 4 or 5 of those apartments out and put their own storage instead of putting it in our
Grace Generakis, Phase 3. I would like to address Publix. Publix has a fairly good reputation of setting up, being an anchor in these village squares. And I have to tell you, I am very disappointed that Publix would even piggyback this kind of application for our community. If you want this community to support you and continue to be good customers of Publix, don't do this to communities, because you're putting a very bad taste in my mouth. You're not the community-oriented place that I thought you were.
I want to thank everyone for coming here and joining us. Commissioner wants to have a few closing remarks.
I do. I want to thank the planning staff. I know this is a tense, sometimes interchange, but it's democracy, it's our community, so it's worth it, and I appreciate you all for doing your job. I appreciate the applicant for being here and listening. I will tell you, it doesn't always happen, and it really is important that we are able to work through, I think, a lot of the concerns that we heard. You all were loud and clear, and I'm very, very grateful for you and your time. Please, if you are not already, please follow us, get my newsletter, because whatever happens next, we will give updates on when it comes back to the Board of County Commission and what it may or may not look like as it comes back or comes up. So please stay in touch, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, everyone. Just a reminder, this item is already been scheduled for the BCC June 20th. So you may be getting, I don't have the time, but you will be getting notification similar, or please feel free to reach out to the DRC office or the planning office for additional questions or comments.